I think just a couple of things that may be useful to viewers. One is about the potential, if people do have more questions and want to learn more about which vaccines we recommend, they can go to highriskpregnancyinfo.org. That has information about, our medical society, the information that we've evaluated. These are all experts in infectious diseases and pregnancy, evaluated scientific studies and made decisions about which vaccines we would recommend based on the scientific literature in both safety and effectiveness of these vaccines. And really the other is about the really important public health impact that vaccines have. They are one of the most important public health things that we can do to protect all of us as a society, and that they are something that has led to elimination infections in some countries and certain infections. And we are just so fortunate to be able to have them available to us here in the United States.
Hey everyone, this is Jonathan Marx from GoToHealth. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Pregnancy is an exciting moment in life, and for expecting mothers and dads, it can also bring questions about how to keep yourself and your baby healthy. Maternal vaccines not only help protect you from severe disease, but they also help your body create immunity that is passed on to your baby. This early protection is especially important in a newborn's first month of life when they are most vulnerable. Vaccines are a vital part of prenatal care, and understanding which vaccines are recommended can help protect mother and baby from getting seriously sick, especially during respiratory illness season. Pregnancy care experts from the Society for Maternal-Fetal Medicine, that's SMFM, can answer common questions about vaccines during pregnancy, including what to know about vaccines that protect against severe illness from respiratory diseases like the flu, whooping cough, COVID-19, and respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV. With us to talk about this today is Brenna L. Hughes, MD. She's a maternal-fetal medicine specialist and chair of the Society for Maternal-Fetal Medicine's Committee on Infectious Diseases and Emerging Threats, so she knows what she's talking about. Dr. Hughes is the Edwin Crowell Hamblin Distinguished Professor of Reproductive Biology and Family Planning and the interim chair of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Duke University. Her research area of expertise is infectious diseases in pregnancy. Before we get to the doctor, a request and a reminder: if you like our show, please give us a thumbs up or a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify or YouTube or wherever you're listening to us. It helps us get the word out to more people. Thanks so much in advance. So welcome to the show, Brenna Hughes, MD. How are you today?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
Good, thank you. So vaccines are such a big issue these days, but why are maternal vaccines an important part of prenatal care, and how does it help protect the baby as well as the mom?
Yeah, great question. So maternal vaccines are really a cornerstone of providing good, healthy prenatal care. They keep the pregnancy healthy by providing protection for both moms and babies. I like to call some of these respiratory viral infection vaccines a two-fer, the ones that really protect moms to keep them healthy from respiratory viral infections. And then by keeping mom healthy, you keep baby healthy as well, and that decreases the risk for babies after delivery.
Good. So which vaccines are recommended during pregnancy and why?
Yeah, there are 4 total vaccines that we generally recommend in every pregnancy. There are 2 that are really focused on maternal health. Those are the influenza vaccine and the COVID-19 vaccine. Those are both recommended during pregnancy because we know that pregnant people are more likely to get severely ill from both of those infections when they're pregnant compared to when they're not pregnant. So they're more likely to be hospitalized, more likely to be admitted to an ICU or on a ventilator just because of pregnancy.
Yes.
The other 2 are really focused on keeping the baby healthy. And so those are the Tdap or whooping cough vaccine, and then the other is the RSV vaccine. Both of those are given later in pregnancy, where moms develop antibodies to those infections. They're passed through the placenta, through the umbilical cord to the baby, so that when the baby is born, the baby's born with protection against those two illnesses before they themselves can be vaccinated.
So I'm going to ask a question I believe is probably on many people's minds. How do we know these vaccines are safe?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. There is a significant amount of medical literature, scientific studies that are done before any vaccines are recommended during pregnancy or otherwise. And so we have multiple studies, some of them decades of studies, depending on how old the vaccine is, demonstrating that these vaccines are safe. In fact, I'd go so far to say is that they're not only safe, but they actually improve outcomes. So they improve pregnancy outcomes, they decrease the risk of severe illnesses that can be associated with adverse pregnancy outcomes like prematurity, and they improve both maternal and infant health. So the side effects are certainly something that happens in the setting of vaccines or any medical intervention. The most important one and most significant one that we see with vaccines is a sore arm. And that's been shown in many studies of various vaccines, both in and out of pregnancy. People are more likely to have a sore arm if they get the real vaccine compared to a placebo. But we think it's well worth it for the improved health outcomes that we see associated with these vaccines.
Good. Is there a specific time of year that it's best to get these vaccines? Does it matter what season it is?
Yeah, it depends on the individual vaccine, which time in the year you should get it. So certainly for the influenza vaccine, we tend to give that in September and October because we want it to have a couple of weeks to work before we really get into the throes of the influenza season. So that one is definitely seasonal. And then RSV is also a seasonal vaccine. We give it between September and January for pregnant people in the continental United States to make sure that the infants who are born during the RSV season are protected at the time of birth. The other two that we recommend are really not specific to seasons. They're given at a certain time during pregnancy for the whooping cough one. And for the COVID-19, we really give it when there's a new booster that might be available to people.
Good. Now, are maternal vaccines covered by insurance typically?
In general, they are covered by insurance companies. So if people have medical insurance, the vast majority of medical insurance companies do cover maternal vaccines. They have been shown to improve health and decrease complications. So it is in the best interest of insurance companies to cover vaccines during pregnancy, and most of them do. If there's ever any questions, if people are wondering whether or not their insurance covers vaccines during pregnancy, they can always contact their insurance company. There is a website called cveep.org, cveep.org, where people can go if they need help to sort of figure out navigating whether insurance companies will cover their vaccines or not.
Great. You mentioned before RSV. We've done a number of shows recently on RSV in older adults, but I also understand it can be very debilitating for young children. Can you tell us more about that and why it's important to get that RSV vaccine for a young child?
Yeah, that's right. RSV, or respiratory syncytial virus, is the most common respiratory infection that causes hospitalization in infants. It really can impair infants and young children. I think most of us know someone whose child has been hospitalized with RSV. It can be really devastating. It's incredibly common, and it can be so painful for parents to watch their child struggle to breathe. And thankfully, this vaccine just became available in the past few years. It is available here in the United States, and we're able to provide it to people to decrease the risk of severe illness and hospitalization for children. And in countries where the vaccine is really fully implemented, there's already evidence that it decreases hospitalizations on a national level by having this vaccine available.
Good. And I want to cycle back to what you mentioned before about COVID-19. I think a lot of people kind of have the attitude that now that the pandemic is past, that, COVID is just another, whatever to pick up in the fall. Why are COVID-19 vaccines still important to consider?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I had the unfortunate experience. I am a high-risk obstetrician, and I lived through the COVID-19 pandemic during the worst of it, and unfortunately had the experience of having many patients hospitalized in the ICU on ventilators, and some of them even pass away from COVID-19, something I hope to never live through again.
Yeah.
But now that we're past that severe part of the pandemic, we are seeing it a little bit less frequently, but it can still cause severe disease. I've been doing this for several decades now, and every year I see someone with influenza, and I expect the same for COVID-19, where during the pandemic, I had units full of patients that were ill. Now I might see once a year or twice a year someone being sick enough to be on a ventilator. They are almost always unvaccinated when that happens, and we are very fortunate to have this vaccine available that we know decreases the risk of those things happening. So I really encourage patients, even if they've never gotten the vaccine when they weren't pregnant, to get it when they're pregnant to decrease the risk of even one person having to be on a ventilator while they're pregnant.
Do people come off ventilators, or is really going on a ventilator meaning the end of life?
No, thankfully, people do come off of ventilators, and the vast majority of people do survive having been on a ventilator if they have a severe respiratory illness. But as you can imagine, if you're picturing a happy, healthy pregnancy, one thing you never picture is yourself ending up on a ventilator. And it is obviously never good for moms or babies for moms to be on a ventilator. And it is definitely something we'd like to avoid to be able to keep people healthy.
Sure. And I don't want to leave out the men here. What message do you have for young men or young dads or grandfathers about encouraging their either wives or daughters to get vaccinated during pregnancy?
Yeah, I would recommend that family members actually do go ahead and get vaccinated themselves if they're eligible for the vaccine, depending on which vaccine we're talking about, and support their pregnant partners in keeping themselves healthy to be able to get vaccinated. And if that means helping to drive people to appointments and being supportive and holding a hand during the shot, that's the thing to do to keep your partner and your future family healthy.
Good. Brenna, is there anything else I haven't asked that I should have, or is there a final message you'd like to leave with people today?
I think just a couple of things that may be useful to viewers. One is about the potential, if people do have more questions and want to learn more about which vaccines we recommend, they can go to highriskpregnancyinfo.org. That has information about, our medical society, the information that we've evaluated. These are all experts in infectious diseases and pregnancy, evaluated scientific studies and made decisions about which vaccines we would recommend based on the scientific literature in both safety and effectiveness of these vaccines. And really the other is about the really important public health impact that vaccines have. They are one of the most important public health things that we can do to protect all of us as a society, and that they are something that has led to elimination infections in some countries and certain infections. And we are just so fortunate to be able to have them available to us here in the United States.
Great. Thanks so much for being with us. Folks, if you want to learn more, you can go to the website the doctor just mentioned, or you can go to cveep.org/ES. And cveep is CVEEP, cveep.org/ES. Brenna, thanks so much for being with us today. It's really helpful to get this information out.
Thanks very much for having me. Have a great day.
Good. We've been talking with Brenna L. Hughes, MD. She's a maternal-fetal medicine specialist and chair of the Society for Maternal-Fetal Medicine's Committee on Infectious Diseases and Emerging Threats. She knows what she's talking about. Dr. Hughes is the Edwin Crowell Hamblin Distinguished Professor of Reproductive Biology and Family Planning and the interim chair of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Duke University. Her research area of expertise is infectious diseases in pregnancy. Doctor, again, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good. This has been Jonathan Marx with GoToHealth. And as we say at the end of every show, go to health. We'll see you again next time. God bless. Take care. Thank you for tuning in today to Go to Health. You are one of almost 10,000 people per day who enjoy the evidence-based health information offered by our guest health experts. You can watch us on our website and YouTube and listen to us on 8 podcast networks. Be sure to join Jonathan Marx in our upcoming shows each week. If you like our show, please share this episode with your friends and colleagues. You can subscribe to the show, join our email list, send us feedback, browse through the online store, and view our library of over 150 shows at gotohealthmedia.com. See you next time, and remember to elevate your life with Go to Health.